Hey, what's up, guys? This is elospeaks back again with another video. In this video, I'm going to be doing or basically a recap review of Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty. Give my perspective and opinions on the matter of the overall TV show and how it was constructed, and give my personal takes and opinions on the matter. I'm going to be doing more shows like this, reviews as regards to documentaries of sports teams, players, etc., franchises, the league. If they have some type of TV show or type of dynasty or player that I'm interested in seeing, then I'll do a review on it if it piques my interest. Now, as regards for the Winning Time for the Los Angeles Lakers, I feel like this was a great overall show. I give it 4 stars out of 5. I'll give my take on what I think could make the show better and improve, but there's so far one of the improvements I think was kind of like the acting and the character lookalikes. They kind of don't look alike, but I understand it. They have to make the character look similar to the real life characters, but also make them look younger. I know that's difficult to find, especially having them to act. So they did the best that they could. So it is what it is. But that's one of my only gripes of the show. But overall, it was a great, entertaining show. I had some laughing moments of the show. It was great. It was funny. There was also some dark moments of the show, like Spencer Haywood and his drug addiction. That was disheartening to see. But stuff like that, you just don't know because of everything that's going on in the 80s. So at the time when I was watching the show, to be honest, I didn't know that much about the Showtime Lakers. I've just seen highlights of them in their glory days. I never got to see them play in real time because I wasn't born in the 80s. I just known about all the championships, the accolades, the star player, Hollywood, LA, just the Los Angeles Lakers overall, and how their dynasty came about just off them winning championships straight out the 80s. So the show starts off with Dr. Jerry Buss and how he was trying to purchase the Lakers and the road that he had to take to get to the Lakers. And at that time, the NBA was losing money at that time. So with regards to that, I can honestly say that Jerry Buss, he took a real leap of faith in purchasing the Los Angeles Lakers, because at the time that the NBA was losing money, they didn't really have no big star power. They had like star players, but they didn't have like a lot of people watching the games, and that's where the kind of the racial component come in, because a lot of black players was coming into the league, and certain fandoms didn't really want to watch the game like that because they say that the league was being overtaken by black athletes that were getting into the sport because of their athleticism. So that kind of probably swayed them from watching the NBA, which in turn made them lose money as a result of that. But then the next thing you see, top recruit Magic Johnson and Larry Bird going back at it in the NCAA championship, where Magic Johnson came out the winner on the championship. They showed Magic Johnson his hometown in Michigan, Detroit, and it was just like surreal to see how Magic Johnson grew up, seeing his family and friends, seeing his future wife Cookie, and how he interacted with her, and how he was a potential first round draft pick, and he was getting scouted from all the best teams in the league to see where team he was going to go to. And at the time, the Lakers had the first pick, and he went to Los Angeles to see how they was going to be in LA, and it was a surreal moment for him. They showed a lot of scenes with Magic Johnson shown, but that's well, even before he went to LA, he was shown he was smashing girls, just living a life of a top star. He was a star before he even became a superstar in LA, and that's how much like charismatic, egotistical that he was about it. He was just doing his thing. That's typical athletes. He's not the first, and he won't be the last moving forward. But again, it was interesting to see how he interacted with his mom, his dad, his brothers, his siblings, and then how he interacted with Cookie flying out to LA. And then when he finally met Jerry Buss, Jerry Buss was humbled to talk to him in the price negotiations about how much money he was trying to get paid. And he was trying to see if he could get paid $600,000, and they were trying to pay him $400,000, and then they came to an agreement, in the middle to $500,000, which was a lot of money back in the days. So that was interesting to see. I just thought, players had a set amount of money. I didn't know too much about contracts back then and how price negotiations happen. And on top of that, he was with his father, so I don't think they was like too business savvy to know what was going on in terms of how these contracts work. So, and I appreciated Jerry Buss showing humility to Magic Johnson and his father, showing that he also came from humble beginnings. He didn't just came off rich or anything like that. Yeah, he's a doctor and he's successful, but he wanted to show you that, yes, I'm not like some Playboy Mansion Hugh Hefner. I had humble beginnings. I had struggles in my life, and I had to go through this type of situation as well. So the next thing I wanted to show was one of my favorite characters that I saw on the show was Jerry West. And when I say my favorite character, it was interesting to see. We all know Jerry West as the general manager, icon, legend, number 44, Mr. Logo of the NBA. But we never got to see him behind the scenes and how he operated with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, again, the Lakers Winning Times TV show series is dramatized. So I don't believe 100% of all the stuff that happened in the TV show. But to see how Jerry West conducted himself was interesting to see. A lot of cursing, a lot of yelling, a lot of, spazzing out, going crazy. I thought it was funny. I felt like they showed off his character in a way where it got you to understand how he thinks, how he got to where he got to be, where he was at the time. They showed him in his past where he was a little kid going through family issues with his mom and his dad, and the way he coped was just to go outside and play basketball. And then as he got older, he went to college and then performed at the highest level in the NBA, playing against the Boston Celtics, getting beat by them time after time after time, and he was just so used to it. By the time that he finally won his NBA championship in '72, it was a surreal moment that he didn't even know how to feel about it because he wasn't used to winning. And until he got Walt Chamberlain to help him win that championship, he was just surprised that he won. So this is interesting to see. They also showed him with his Finals MVP trophy that he won in a loss, ironically, and you could just see him like slamming that thing on tables. And then when they decided that they were gonna draft Magic Johnson, he threw the Finals trophy out the door window. It was just, some of the scenes were funny, some of the scenes was kind of like, wow, this guy is a rage head. But again, it was interesting and funny, and it just fleshed out his character. And even moving forward, when you did see his character, you could see that he's really an intelligent guy where he sees the game. He wanted to win so bad for the Lakers that he just wins in spite of himself. There were times where he could even watch the game because he was just so scared that the Lakers were going to lose, and that just shows how bad that he wanted to win. And even though the Lakers had all that talent on the team with Irvin Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper, and etc., he was still weary and scared to win to coach the team because he felt like if they screw up or if they lose, it's on him, and now he has to deal with losing another championship or losing another season. I think he could take that. So I think he just stepped down and went to Jerry Buss and said, I can't do this. You got to find yourself another coach. And then that's where the journey to finding another head coach came into play. And with that came in Jack McKinney. I'm not going to go over all the ancillary parts where they were trying to get that head coach from Las Vegas because I feel like it is if you watch the show, you watch the show. Unless you haven't, well, spoilers, duh. But Jack McKinney showing that how he wanted to operate the run and gun system was interesting. I didn't know he propelled that type of offensive play style. I thought that was Pat Riley, but again, watching this show really opened my eyes to how things were going in terms of the season. So they got Jack McKinney as the head coach, and they were coaching the team. The team was doing all right, and then one issue happened where he was riding his bike to work, or no, he was riding his bike to golf to go play with Paul Westhead, one of his coach assistants, and at that point, he was riding his bike, and one of the screws on his bike got loose, and when he tried to brake, it broke, and then he ended up flying off his bike and skirting his face off the pavement, and he was in critical condition where he was in the hospital. He had to take time off. At the time, Paul Westhead, his assistant coach, had to step in as the head coach. And then we got to see Pat Riley. Seeing Pat Riley was a surreal moment. I'm a Miami Heat fan, and Pat Riley was the coach in 06 for the Miami Heat when they won a championship. So seeing him in his past, in his youth, was like really interesting to see. He flashed the Lakers ring, saying how he was trying to apply for the job. He was going to be a court announcer for the team, along with another person that he was working with. But then after Jack McKinney had got into that accident, Paul Westhead stepped in and made Pat Riley his coach assistant. So they were running the team for a while until Jack McKinney healed up. And at the time that Jack McKinney healed up, the Lakers were going on a roll. There were times when they struggled, there were times they were going good, but for the most part of the season, it was going swell, and they was able to win 50 plus games and win number one seed in the playoffs with with Magic Johnson, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and all the ancillary players. It was also good seeing Magic Johnson interact with Norman Stormin Nixon. That was a real interesting battle when they went to that party and they was playing on that basketball court, and Norman Nixon was just schooling Magic Johnson, saying you got a lot to learn, go back to college, etc. Just showing up the rookie, let him know the NBA not gonna be cake. You got to put in work. You got to put in your dues to win time. And then also seeing Magic Johnson interact with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a.k.a. Cap, and see how he is. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar character was also interesting too. Seeing his struggles and what he had to go through as regards to the Black Panther movement, being a black activist, etc. How he was badgering the rookies such as Magic Johnson and Michael Cooper, making him get paper and orange juice, etc. That was a funny moment as well. They also show scenes of Jeannie Buss at a young age and how she interacted with the father. It was sad about Jerry Buss' mother and how she was going through her situation and passed away. That was a real serious loss for him. I think that was in an episode of Acceptable Losses where she had passed away. She was the biggest supporter of the Lakers more than anyone for Jerry Buss, because she gave Jerry Buss the money to help purchase the team, so she was all in. But then sooner or later, when it time was to handle business, she just wasn't capable of handling it. And I could tell that Jeannie Buss wanted to play a huge part in the Lakers organization, but the father just didn't acknowledge her or see her intrinsic value and how much part of the company that she provides. But it's season 1, and I feel like Jeannie Buss is going to show her father that she's going to be a very important part for the Los Angeles Lakers moving forward, and how she helps the organization become the big dynasty that he is. Even though it's not in a big part, she's going to show her value in some other way, and I think she did that because currently right now she's running the whole team. So as being the owner of the team ever since her father passed away. Now, another tidbit I wanted to go to was Spencer Haywood. Spencer Haywood, that was another sad thing going through. I didn't know he was the first player to be drafted straight out of high school. I remember he documented how he sued the NCAA and the league, saying that it should be his right to choose if he wants to go to high school or go to the pros. And he ended up winning, and he was able to go straight to the league. Now the league kind of blackballed him a little bit by making him bounce around the league, but he was able to conquer his mission and go straight to the league. And because of him, we have players like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Dwight Howard, etc., coming straight out the league. Now, do every player need to come out the league? No. I feel like there's certain players, they need time to develop. They need to go to college for a year or two, maybe 3, to really like hone their skills and be a potential, player. But certain players, they're just ready. Like LeBron James, he was ready out of high school. He was ready out of high school. Kobe, even though he did come out of high school, it took him a few years coming off the bench to, get it right. But overall, players like that, you want the maximum level of play and to get it out of them. Like I'm talking about like 20 years plus. Yeah, sometimes those rare gems, they're gonna come out of high school, but they don't do that no more. It's mandatory that the league, to get to the league, you have to at least wait 1 year, go to the G League, go overseas, or do college for a minimum of 1 year to be eligible to get drafted. So that's how it is now, but maybe that might change. Well, who knows? So that's what I wanted to talk about. And then moving forward, as the season progressed with Spencer Haywood, you could tell that he was good with Spencer. You could tell he was good with Jack McKinney, as he was in the starting rotation, and he was another big man to play with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then afterwards, when he got hurt, I guess there was static between him and Paul Westhead, and Westhead kind of put him to the bench, and that's where things kind of got bad. And he was like really like doing a lot of the dirty work on the team, where he was setting screens for Kareem. He was doing a lot of all this and everything. He was rebounding, etc. And he was sustaining knee injuries and putting his body through the line just to help the team win, which was what some players do. You always gotta need a player like that that's gonna help out the team any way they can, even if they're doing the garbage work. And that's what Spencer Haywood do. Now after that, the situation arrived where Paul Westhead and Pat Riley were thinking about trading Spencer Haywood for another player. I think it was McAdoo, but I guess he overheard that and he didn't particularly like that or took that kindly, and he felt stressed about that, so he started taking drugs. And when he started hopping on that pipe, that's when things went downhill for him overall. And now he's basically off the team. The team voted that he was off the team, and it was just a horrible moment for him because he has a beautiful daughter that he was trying to take care of, but he hopped on that addiction where he just can't jump off it. And the team had to make a decision, because you can't have a guy like that on a team and he's compromising the team by being on drugs, because it's not like conducive to winning because of his addiction. And on top of that, you're in LA too, with all that distraction, the females, the money, the drugs, all that. Oh man, I can't even imagine. So they voted to get him off the team, and ever since then he wanted to get revenge on them. He wanted to get a gun and like shoot some of the Lakers players. I was shocked to see that. That was another thing I didn't like particularly know about, but wow, it was just like surprising seeing how much anger that he had at that point, even though it was his fault because he fell into that darkness. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, aka Cap, came to visit him after they had won the championship, trying to console him, let him know it's gonna be okay, let him know that he's a champion because he did play with the team, so he is eligible to get a championship ring. But still, it was just a real moment because you could tell he needed help and he felt lonely and that nobody was there for him, even though he had his daughter there with him. But I think he needed like his close friend to console him and let him know that it was gonna be okay moving forward. Now I want to get to the basketball part. Now to the basketball part, it was great to see the chemistry between all the players. How Michael Cooper was on the team, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When they showed that scene with them in practice, that was a surreal moment. I was like, wow, that was so interesting. Seeing how the offensive running gun style came into play, how they were all in the room going over the game tape and how they wanted to guard people. Another interesting tidbit: I did not know Jerry McKinnon was the one who suggested that Magic Johnson plays center if by chance Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wouldn't get hurt. I did not know that because in the championship series against the 76ers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had an ankle injury and he ended up getting hurt, and they had to move Magic to the center in order for a high play against Julius Erving's, and that was an interesting series in itself because the game went 6. Now, when it came to this series, we got to see Magic Johnson's true grit as a player because I remember Pat Riley when it told him, hey, he told him how much votes that Larry Bird got over him, and you could tell that just amped up Magic Johnson, and he made him want to play more, even though he had nothing left. Another interesting tidbit was Larry Bird. That was funny. He was a funny looking Larry Bird. I don't want to get too racial, but he kind of looked at like a country boy, drinking Budweiser beers and smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. And the interaction between him and Larry Bird and how they got beef with each other, rivalry. The NBA and sports TV, they make it seem like the rivalry was all friendly, ha ha ha. But I liked it behind the scenes how they wanted to kill each other, it was just like straight beef. It was like, oh, I'm gonna beat you next time you see it. You got lucky, blah blah. I got you next year. Like, you ain't this, you ain't that. And I just like how Magic Johnson responded back while saying, I'm gonna whoop you, this and that. That's the type of rivalry that we needed, and that's the rivalry that sparked the NBA and made it interesting, where people wanted to watch the games to see the great rivalries like that. We also saw Julius Erving, etc., how he schooled Magic Johnson earlier in the season, but then got the best of him in the NBA Finals and let him know how cutthroat this league is. No matter who you are, it doesn't matter. You got to keep learning. You got to keep getting better as an overall player. So that was the talk that Magic Johnson had with Jerry West because Julius Erving was coming off real nice to Magic Johnson, cordial, and let him invited him to dinner with him and his girl, and then that's when Magic Johnson had this situation with him and Cookie, and situation like that because he slept with his her best friend and got pregnant, but that situation settled itself. But Magic Johnson was so enthralled of Julius Erving about that time when they had played the Sixers. Julius Erving, he slit his throat in the game and let him know, like, I'm coming to, like, outside of the court, we're good friends. We're on the court, we're enemies, and I'm coming for your neck. And Jerry West had to let Magic Johnson know about that because he explained that same situation with Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain, because Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell were good friends. But when he came on the court, Bill Russell was ready to take Will Chamberlain's head off, and Jerry West told him like he never understood how he never peeped that. So that was an interesting tidbit because that's the same exact situation that Michael Jordan used to do with the players in the 90s. And one of the coaches, I think it was Stan Van Gundy or Jeff Van Gundy, one of those brothers that was coaching the Knicks, he kind of detailed that same sentiment, and Jordan got mad about that, took his frustration on the Knicks. But to some degree, it was true. And you got to be careful about that because whenever you're in this super high competitive sport such as this, having friends is okay, but once you're on that court, you're enemies, and you're both of you guys are aiming for the same goal, and that's become a champion, and there's only going to be one. So therefore, all that friendship stuff, you got to hold it aside until then. And that's what I liked it about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson's rivalry, even spanning back all the way from college, even the championship game. And that just lets you know the competitive drive that he had, because even after the Lakers won the championship, you could see Larry Bird outside his house practicing a skyhook shot, see if he could perfect the shot. So that just shows you how the competitive fervor that he has to try to win. So all in all, that was season 2. I know there's a lot of things I left out and I could have put in, but I think this video is long enough. But that's my review of it. When season 2 comes out, I'm gonna be doing reviews on that as well, see how the series goes, and tell me what else series that you might want me to do. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. I think this is an overall series. I give it 4 stars out of 5. There are some things that could have been better. I feel like they're going to be better moving forward in the series. But overall in all, it was a fun, entertaining show. I liked it. I suggest that you watch it if you haven't. And if you have, let me know in the comment section what's your favorite scene, who's your favorite character in the show. And this is elospeaks out.
Coming in, yeah, flex. I just wanna win, yeah. LA BB, who we running with, yeah. 2 2 3 3, I'm on 10 again.